Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're on the third dev server and having a look at the AH-1Z. This is the last in the line of American helicopters that you can get, so the big 10-0. And another thing that they have changed, by the way, since the first dev server when I had a look at helicopters, the AH-1G, which we'll be covering in a separate video, has been dropped to 8.0. So it's quite low now. But anyway, the AH-1C, this is the most modern helicopter that the Americans get. It has, of course, the foreblade, and the armor profile is the seats, so it has some boron carbide 20mm, and then some steel 12mm for one of the seats, the other one just being the 20, and then some steel plates for the engines. The engines themselves, 1800 horsepower each, mass thrust of 250 kgf, and also you have, of course, the propeller shaft, the traction control surfaces, the fuel tanks, and everything like that. But the main thing to understand from this vehicle, there's not a lot of armor on it. There's a little bit to save the pilots, and that's really about it. The main thing, which is the draw to the AH-1Z, is its armament. The first thing being this turret, 20mm M197. Now, a few people have asked me about these turrets. Yes, you can fire them by yourself if you have them selected, and yes, also, they will fire independently when you are not controlling them. So let's say you're in the targeting view for an ATGM, the turret will fire at stuff which is in its area. So yeah, simple as that. It has 750 rounds, 20mm, is able to go around at a decent click, and has some interesting belts to it. The belts are defaults, P Heavy APIT, Universal Heavy APIT, and then a bunch of Heffies and an API, a bunch of APIs, and then Heavy. So for me, I would take the APIs, just because I want to be able to attack stuff in the ground and also on the air. If we look at the other modifications this machine has, it has a few for flight performance, so compressor, engine, the replacing the blades, now that they've actually added in the statistics, which is lovely. On the first iteration of the dev server, we didn't have this, so we know now what the engine upgrade actually does for the machine. Same with the compressor. And the flak jacket's just a flak jacket, though. So it'll keep your crew alive, but it won't keep your machine alive. The main thing, as I said, though, is the weaponry. So this gets a gun pod, the XM18s, but the main thing you're going to be using is these tows, and there's an absolute ton of them. They've added in more modifications, which means that the modifications overall will be cheaper to get, so that is obviously a nice addition, and also you get a modification for Hydras. Now, let's have a look. There's a ridiculous amount of secondary weapons that you can see here, and it all comes down to different combinations or specific things. So obviously you have the Hydras, 28 of them, the 76 Hydras, which are the 4 barrels of them. Then you have the 7.62 M134 minigun, if you want to have a look at them. This is what they look like. Very small, but will be deadly to anything that is lightly armored that you can get close to. And then you can get Hydra 70 rockets and the miniguns. Now, once again, same idea. And then you start getting into the tow missiles. So the BGM-71 tow missile here is 630 millimeters of penetration, which is pretty good. And then you get the BGM-71 tow. You can get 8 of them. And then you can get 4 and Hydras, 8 and Hydras, and then 4 and miniguns, 8 and miniguns. You see where this is going. As I said, there's a lot of combinations here. And then you get the upgraded tow. So this is the tow 2. The tow 2 has 900 millimeters of penetration. So that'll pretty much go through everything and will be the main round that you want to use, because if we look at the costs are very much the same as everything else. So you can get the tow 2s and the Hydras, and then upgraded Hydras, the tow 2s and the miniguns, and then you can just straight up get 16 of the first tows or 16 of the second tows. Now, I don't know why the Silver Lion's cost for the Hydras is so high, but there is no reason to really use them, if you can just take these TOW missiles. If you are taking the helicopters out in ground forces to be able to be useful against stuff that's on the ground, which is obviously going to be their main focus, then there is literally no reason for you to take anything else once you have these TOW-2 missiles, especially because looking at the costs and everything like that. Another thing to take into account, the repair cost of this machine, 15,477 when fully upgraded. So this isn't a cheap machine, and it's going to be quite hard to make your money back. But anyway, no skins or anything like that, unfortunately, for this. I haven't seen any skins for any other helicopters. Hopefully at some point they do get added in. Anyway, let's have a look at the test flights. Get into it and see how it goes. It flies particularly well. One of the things that I would say is the Soviet planes are definitely more well armed. I think that is definitely something I would agree with, even though now this AH-1Z has the same amount of armament as the top Mi-35. Before it was definitely the case that the Mi-35 had more, but now that this gets 16 and the Mi gets 16, for me it feels like they're pretty much, if not the same, they are at least on equal footing now, where it was obvious before that the Mi-35 was just better because of its armament. Let's try and turn this thing around. There we go. Let's just stick it into hover, so I don't have to worry about it. I want to see if I can hit these vehicles from here. It shouldn't be too hard to do. They're, what, 3.36 away? So, at this point, we are out of range of SPAA. And of course we have the gunner view, which obviously is the front lad who's sat in the front here. And we also have the cockpit view, which you can see here. It is a cockpit placeholder. But the side's still open in a wonderful fashion. There you go. You can see both doors open while we are in the air. So let's just close them. So for a cockpit placeholder, these have got, they are nice. Like there's no doubt about it. They are really lovely placeholders. Let's just see. I can't turn the lights off or anything like that, but that just might be me being silly. Right, so that SPAA, it's out of range. Let's just say that's a radar guided one. Let's also try and knock this down so we're not moving, just to make it easy as possible. So this thing is about 3,420 meters away, according to the marker that we're using. So if that was a radar guided AA, it would be out of our range by, at least a kilometer. So we would easily be able to hit it without any repercussions, even if it was moving. What you'll find with these TOWs is that they are incredibly maneuverable while moving. So as you can see, it's not hard to push a target. If that target's moving, you can just follow it with the cursor, then eventually you'll be able to hit it like that. The missiles are very easy to control. What I found is once you target a vehicle though, sometimes the reticle will go a little bit crazy. So if we're talking about arcade battles, it might be worth just not doing that, just not moving about. If we take it off hover mode, you can still see it is quite easy to aim. There we go. And let's actually do it on the move just to show you. So we'll stick it like this. So we're going forward. So we're moving, and let's fire. So you can see there's a little bit of movement that you have to worry about, but even then, it's very easy to control these ATGMs with this AH-1Z. It feels nice to control. And with the 20mm in the front, I mean, it's going to be your best chance to be able to defend against aircraft which are coming in. And since it has the ATGMs, the 16 of them, I feel like it definitely has the best chance of being able to survive and actually do damage to what it's facing. The repair cost though is just kind of out of this world. I really don't agree with the repair cost that we see with this machine. I think it should be lower, especially for newer vehicles. I understand not many people are going to be able to grind this out very quickly, but still, you're talking about the same or similar repair cost to an Abrams. That is the way to look at it, and to me that's just kind of insane. I wish the repair costs for these new machines were lower, so we could try and entice people to use them. Also, something that one person brought up in the Discord, I apologize for not remembering your name, but with the ATGMs, he was saying that you could only fire them before using the the gunner mode, like this mode. I'm not sure if it's the case or not, but now you can just use them normally. So if you are moving about at a canter and you're trying to, get somewhere pretty quickly, you can still use the ATGMs while you're in this view. And that might be easier for you, might be harder for you, but it doesn't really matter. It just means that you have a few more options. Anyway, this has been a look at the AH-1Z Cobra. Let's make sure not to crash it. Come on now. There we go. And next time we'll have a look at the MI-35M. I'll see you then.